There's been an autonomous zone slash occupation in southern Atlanta in a strip of land that is owned by the city. So in September of last year, the city council had voted to approve the future construction of a police and EMS and firefighters training facility. The land is owned by the city, but it's mostly trees and brush and some abandoned buildings. And in response to that, naturally, what happened is that Antifa and those on the far left mobilized there and started building like barricades and some basic infrastructure. Well, they took over what was already there and claimed it as theirs and said, and had made outlandish claims that the construction of this, what they called a cop city, would lead to more black and brown people getting killed. It's the same arguments we've heard now for years, that anytime police are funded or there's support for resources for them, that's terrible and that needs to be stopped. People need to remember that the agenda of Antifa and the anarchist communist far left is to abolish police. So, of course, a building of a training center is not something they're going to be okay with. And so they've occupied it to try to stop it. And it escalated now since last week into some pretty severe violence. And I would argue acts of domestic terrorism. How did I know that Antifa was involved? Well, if you look at the pictures that they've posted themselves, lo and behold, what flag do you recognize there on the upper left? That's the Antifa flag. So they've been using several hashtags, but the main one is Defend Atlanta Forest. It's not a forest. There are some trees in an area that is owned by the city. So they put out some flyers recently, week of action, and I'll get into it, of how it escalated, unsurprisingly, into violence. Antifa and violent extremists from across the US have carried out a number of attacks in solidarity with this occupation. So this is a screenshot from an Antifa website where people can submit like ownership of various attacks that are carried out. This website, for example, is also published some of the violent pro-abortion violence that happened recently and claims of responsibility. The message that they're sending out, and you can see they call this a communique, which is just French for communication. Stop destroying the Atlanta forest. Yeah, so their comrades are carrying out violence in other parts of the U.S. to intimidate public officials in Atlanta. This is one of the few pictures of what the autonomous zone looks like. So cable bridge construction, as you can see, very rudimentary and in some ways reminiscent of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle 2 years ago, Chaz. The first attack that happened in recent weeks was on May 12th. And so the rioters went to the offices of the company that is contracted with the city of Atlanta to do the construction of this upcoming or future police training center. And the windows were smashed out and damaged with these homemade paint bombs. And the rioters came with fireworks, and they actually there were a number of arrests. The grass was set on fire because of the fireworks, so it looks like they were attempting to burn down the building. Police did respond. This is This is not Portland. I mean, granted, it's Atlanta. Atlanta's a liberal city, but it's still Georgia. So police responded, and there were a number of arrests. And as I did in 2020, I've been documenting the arrests one by one and investigating their backgrounds. This is really important because, as many of them did immediately, they scrub everything that's in existence online to make it so that you can't look into what they've written, what political ideologies they espouse. The mugshot and the names and the documentation of arrests that I do, I think, is probably one of my most important services to the public as a journalist, because it's a lot of work. You're looking through different agencies and different departments, and it takes the work of several people. I have to do a really big shout out to Antifa Watch. They were the first to get the names and mugshots out there. So thank you to them. You should definitely follow them on Twitter if you don't already. They do amazing work keeping watch on the developments of the criminal court proceedings of far left rioters. So yeah, there were 5 people who were arrested at the violent direct action in Atlanta, the attack on the offices of that construction contractor. This woman is named Katie Marie Cloth. This is an older photo of her. She uses the fake name Crow. Almost all of them will use fake names, monikers. Yeah, this is Katie Marie Cloth. This is from her booking photo from the arrest on May 12th in Atlanta. 2 more arrests. Joseph William Turner on the left, and Tyler John Norman. This person is Hannah Margaret Cass. She's a PhD student at the University of Wisconsin at Madison. She teaches environmental studies to undergraduates, and she's deleted all her social media, but I did manage to capture some of the evidence before it was deleted. So this is what her bio said on her Twitter before it was deleted. It just tells you some of her interests, and none of it's surprising, right? U.S. plantations, anarchism, abolition, agrarian political economy, autonomous agri-food. So they have this fantasy when they do this autonomism that they can really establish like a commune where food can grow, and that there's no capitalism, that there's no work, that people just take care for one another and it can run well. And if you remember Chaz, they had attempts as well to do agriculture, and it was literally store-bought soil put over cardboard in the park with small plants purchased from the grocery stores put in that soil. That's what they did. So it's not surprising that many of these people who are participating in these revolutionary direct actions and occupations are academics or alumni of universities, basically those who have had privilege of education and all the privileges that come with that. And they get radicalized either at university or before, and they spread those ideas to other students, as the suspect, I assume, did, based on her very open interest and very radical anarchist ideas. This is Julian Aidan Goldberg. You'll see over and over, by the way, in these arrestees as I go through, that most of them are not from Atlanta. Actually, very few of them are, or they're not even from Georgia. These are people coming from all over the country to participate in this autonomous zone, and what I view are attempts to intimidate the public and government actors and businesses into not moving forward with building this police training facility. So Goldberg, he is a developer for the company We Share Solar, which is based in Berkeley. And all evidence I could find is that Goldberg is known residence is still in Berkeley. I looked into his background on his LinkedIn and elsewhere. He was very good, privilege of a good undergraduate university education. He was very involved in anti-Israel activities as an undergraduate. So just this long history of radical leftist activism this individual has. I'm asked all the time, how does where are they getting their money? Well, here you can see it right away. So there's a GoFundMe. Pull it up. For the people to be able to travel stipend. Look at that. They raised over $5,000. This is just one of them. There's several, by the way, that I could find, and there's probably more that I haven't been able to find. I'm reading this post. This is a fundraiser to help the QTBIPOC. That stands for, let's see if I can unravel this acronym. Queer, trans, Black, Indigenous people of color. Help them pay for travel and other needs if they desire to come to defend the Atlanta forest. Yeah, and then it talks about Two-Spirit people, Indigenous, Black, Latinx, etc. Yeah, so I mean, there's some significant donations. Look at this one, this anonymous donation at the top for $700. A lot of small number amounts, 50, 50, 100. It adds up. It's in GoFundMe, by the way, doesn't allow fundraising for violent extremism. But these type of activities these campaigns don't get shut down. And now let's see, when was this made? So this was created April 17th. Well, the following month, the people that stood to benefit from this campaign allegedly became violent at those events I just discussed. And one of the people that was arrested and one of the violent direct actions actually had donated to this particular crowdfund, by the way. So this is from foxnews.com. The FBI are now involved in investigating because most of the arrestees are coming from out of state. They're crossing state lines, coming from all over the United States, from the West Coast, from the Northeast, from the Midwest, to Atlanta to help their comrades in this autonomous zone and all the efforts that are related around that. And so after trying to set the offices on fire for that construction contractor, well, the violence continued. So that the first act of violence was on May 12th, which was Thursday of last week. And then Tuesday of this week, well, they carried out another direct action by, throwing firebombs at police. So this occupation had been going on for months, and police had basically kind of turned a blind eye because I guess they didn't think that it was necessary to send in resources to kick out these people who are occupying the city space, because it's in the middle of nowhere in southern Atlanta. There's people don't live around there. It's just a space of land. But starting this week, they did send police in because construction is supposed to get started. And on Tuesday, police had escorted some construction workers because of the risk to their safety. When police had escorted in several of the construction workers, then that's when the violence was escalated by these militants. The rioters threw Molotov cocktails at police, and both of the instances were caught on video. One of the Molotovs caught fire, the other one did not ignite. I'm going to show you the body camera footage of the one that did catch fire, and the rioters were hiding in the foliage, so you can't see them. But the firebomb that they threw missed the target, fortunately. But yeah, I'll just show the video.
So it's almost. Oh shit.
So yeah, that was, and by the way, the spokespeople for this autonomous occupation went to the press and lied about how there was no evidence for a firebomb being thrown. Well, now we have video. We have video from multiple angles, by the way. That was the body camera footage, but there was also footage from CCTV cameras. So there were 7 people that were arrested on this raid. So you can see it's just a bunch of junk in the forest that these occupiers brought in. This was their attempt at building housing and infrastructure. This vehicle, and just remember, it's a truck they set on fire, by the way. These are supposedly, I mean, one of the reasons that they've been giving the public, they say, is for environmental reasons, that this training center shouldn't be built, but they didn't have any issues setting this truck on fire because they were trying to burn down the forest as sort of a last-ditch effort during the police raid. So this is Erin Adele Brout. Her last known address is in Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, but she also has an official address in Sykesville, Maryland. So again, people from out of state coming to Georgia for this autonomous zone occupation. Some other photographs of this individual. I don't know if I'm misgendering Erin Adele Brown. I may be. I don't know. That's some of the jail booking photo. She's one of 7. This one is a bit of a sad story. I'm just go. So Abigail Elizabeth Kapayak, she was an intern in the Department of Justice. Back in 2020, she appeared to have a very, very bright career ahead of her. She was a student at the University of Minnesota. She's from Minneapolis, or she lives there, I should say. So again, somebody out of state. She had all these opportunities for her in DC. So it's a photograph from 2020. This is a post that she wrote. So I have huge news for you all. I am extremely excited to announce that I've been offered an internship at the Department of Justice in their Office of Special Counsel of Immigration-Related Unfair Employment Practices. I will be working with the DOJ to ensure that migrants in our country are treated with respect when it comes to hiring, etc., etc. And then I don't know what her radicalization story is, but within a year and a half of this posting, she was arrested at a riot in Minneapolis, in the Minneapolis area. It was in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, which is nearby Minneapolis. And that was a BLM riot there. And you can just, I mean, you see the sort of deterioration of their condition, not just her in particular, but in general with these people. And that's why it's so important for, to look into the backgrounds of these people. They don't just emerge as like a suspected violent extremist one day. There's like a background. I don't know what radicalized her. Older pictures I saw of her, like her high school graduation photos, she looked like a really lovely young woman who was really excited and had all this opportunity and privilege, going to university, studying political science, having internships in Washington, D.C., and then this. And now this is the arrest photo from this week. Yeah, she's only 23.